Picture this: a world so dark, so broken, that God himself decided to wipe it clean with a flood so massive it swallowed everything, every city, every forest, every trace of life. The Great Flood, the Bible's most devastating judgment, wasn't just a storm. It was a reset, a divine act to erase a corruption so deep it threatened the very soul of creation. But why? What could push God to such an extreme? The book of Genesis leaves us with whispers, fragments of the story. But there's another ancient text, one that's been hidden for centuries, that holds the answers. It's called the Book of Jubilees, and it's a treasure chest of secrets about angels, demons, a divine calendar, and a cosmic plan that stretches back before the stars were born. This isn't just a dusty old book. It's a revelation, a story that claims to come straight from heaven, dictated to Moses by an angel on Mount Sinai. For 2,000 years, it was buried, banned, and forgotten by most of the world, surviving only in the sacred traditions of Ethiopia's Orthodox Church. When Bedouin shepherds stumbled upon ancient scrolls in the caves of Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls brought Jubilees back into the light, revealing truths that shook scholars and believers alike. Why was it hidden? What secrets were so dangerous that religious leaders banned it? Let's step into this mystery, unravel its 10 secrets, and discover a story that will leave you in awe. A time of turmoil, the birth of Jubilees. It's 200 BC, and Judea is a land on fire. The Maccabean era is raging, temples are defiled, cultures clash, and faith is tested in the streets. In this chaos, a scribe, guided by divine inspiration, pens the Book of Jubilees. It's not just a retelling of Genesis or Exodus. It's a bold declaration of God's eternal plan, a blueprint of history that claims to reveal what the Bible left unsaid. Divided into 50 chapters, it measures time in cycles of 49 years jubilees each, one a sacred rhythm tied to a divine calendar of 364 days. This calendar, the book says, was God's own design, revealed to Moses by an angel of the presence, a heavenly messenger who stood before the Creator himself. But this calendar wasn't just about counting days. It was a revolution. It promised that sacred festivals would fall on the same weekday every year, a perfect order reflecting God's heart. Yet in Jerusalem, the temple clung to a lunar calendar, shifting and unpredictable. It was to challenge the priests, the traditions, the very power of the temple. The Book of Jubilees didn't just whisper its truths, it shouted them, and that boldness made it dangerous. Copies were burned, its teachings silenced, and it vanished into the shadows, preserved only by secretive communities, and miraculously, by Ethiopia's ancient church. Let's dive into its secrets and see why they still matter today. Secret 1. The cosmic beginning before creation. Close your eyes and imagine a time before time, a moment before the stars blinked into existence. The Book of Jubilees takes us there, to a realm where God's plan was already written. Before the first, let there be light. Before the heavens and earth took shape, God created the angels, not just a few, but a host of them, including the angels of the presence who serve at his throne. These beings weren't an afterthought. They were part of a cosmic design, woven into the fabric of eternity. Jubilees goes further. It says the Sabbath, that sacred day of rest, wasn't just for humans. It was a divine principle, etched into the heavenly tablets before creation began. The heavenly tablets, God's eternal record, held every law, every plan, every truth. The 10 Commandments? They weren't new when Moses received them. They were copies of what already existed in heaven, perfect and unchanging. Even the Garden of Eden was different in Jubilees. Adam and Eve didn't wander naked. They wore garments of light, glowing like angels. And the serpent? No mystery here. It was Satan himself, a dark force scheming from the start in a spiritual war that would echo through history. This secret shakes us. It says the world isn't random. Every moment, every law, every sacred day was planned before the first sunrise. It's a reminder that we're part of something bigger, something holy, something that began before time itself. Secret 2. The Flood and the Rise of Evil. The Great Flood wasn't just about human sin. Jubilees pulls back the curtain on a darker story, a rebellion in heaven that spilled onto earth. It introduces the Watchers, angels sent to guide humanity. At first, their intentions were pure, teaching people wisdom to walk in God's ways. But something went wrong. They grew enchanted by human women, and from their forbidden unions came the Nephilim giants, monstrous and ravenous. These creatures devoured everything, crops, animals, and, in their hunger, even humans. The earth became a battlefield, soaked in violence and despair. Behind it all was Mastema, the prince of evil spirits, a cunning figure who orchestrated this chaos. He twisted the Watchers' mission, turning their knowledge into sorcery, astrology, and weapons of war. When God saw the earth's corruption, he acted. The Watchers were bound, the Nephilim destroyed, and the flood cleansed the world. But Mastema, ever sly, made a bold request. He asked God to spare 1/10 of the Nephilim's spirits demons to serve him, to tempt and test humanity. Shockingly, God agreed, allowing evil to linger under divine permission. This secret chills us. It says evil isn't just human failure. It's a cosmic struggle, with demons born from ancient rebellion still whispering in the shadows. Yet it also points to God's control, his plan that even evil serves a purpose in testing our hearts. Secret 3. Noah and the Eternal Law. After the flood, the world was reborn. But Jubilees tells us it wasn't a blank slate. Noah stepped off the ark, not on Mount Ararat, as Genesis says, but on Mount Luber, a specific peak in the Ararat range. This detail matters to Jubilees, which maps a sacred geography where every place has divine purpose. God made a covenant with Noah, not just a promise of no more floods, but a law that echoed the heavenly tablets. The Sabbath, the distinction between clean and unclean animals, the Feast of Weeks, all these were given to Noah long before Moses climbed Sinai. Jubilees paints Noah as more than a survivor. He was a keeper of God's eternal law, dividing the earth among his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, not by chance, but by divine lots. This wasn't just a family decision. It was God's plan to shape nations, to set the stage for history. Every boundary, every tribe was written in heaven first. This secret reminds us that God's law isn't new, it's eternal, guiding humanity from the moment the waters receded, calling us to live in harmony with his design. Secret 4. The plagues as a spiritual war. The Exodus wasn't just a story of freedom. It was a cosmic showdown. Jubilees reimagines the plagues of Egypt as strikes against the demonic gods of the Nile, led by none other than Mastema. He empowered Pharaoh's magicians to mimic Moses' miracles, hardening Pharaoh's heart to defy God's call. In a chilling moment, Mastema even tried to kill Moses before his mission began, desperate to stop Israel's liberation. Each plague, blood, frogs, darkness, was a blow to Egypt's false gods, proving God's power over every dark force. The final plague, the death of the firstborn, broke Mastema's hold, and God bound him as Israel fled. But at the Red Sea, Mastema stirred Pharaoh's heart one last time, sending his army to chase God's people. This secret shows us the Exodus as more than history. It's a battle between light and darkness, with God's victory shining through every miracle, reminding us that no evil can stand against his will. Secret 5. The Patriarchs and the Heavenly Law. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the patriarchs, weren't just faithful men. They were keepers of a divine law older than time. Jubilees says Abraham's circumcision wasn't a new command, but a heavenly one, written on the tablets before creation. Even angels observed it in God's presence. Abraham didn't stumble into faith. Angels taught him how to sacrifice, how to celebrate festivals like the Feast of Tabernacles. He studied ancient texts from Noah and Enoch, learning Hebrew, the language of heaven, to unlock their truths. This secret makes the patriarchs feel alive, not distant. They weren't perfect. They were men who listened to angels, who studied, who sought God's heart. It tells us that faith isn't blind. It's built on divine truth, passed down through generations, calling us to seek the same wisdom today. Secret 6. Sin as a heavenly debt. Sin isn't just a mistake in Jubilees. It's a debt recorded in heaven. Every wrong, every betrayal is written on the heavenly tablets, a ledger of justice that nothing escapes. The story of Joseph, sold by his jealous brothers, illustrates this. Their betrayal wasn't just a family drama. It was a sin etched in eternity, a debt that demanded repentance. Yet Jubilees offers hope. Those same tablets record forgiveness when hearts turn back to God. This secret is sobering. Our actions matter, leaving marks in heaven's book. But it's also comforting. God's plan includes mercy, a path to wipe the slate clean if we seek Him with honest hearts. Secret 7. The first murder's cosmic impact. Cain and Abel's story is tragic, but Jubilees makes it cosmic. Cain married his sister Awan, a necessity in the early days, the book says. Their conflict wasn't just about offerings. It was about the heart. Abel's gift, the best of his flock, pleased God. Cain's, from the ground, didn't. Envy consumed Cain, and when he killed Abel, the earth itself cried out. The land was defiled, its fruitfulness cursed, its harmony shattered by violence. Jubilees says this murder broke a heavenly law against killing, written before creation. It wasn't just Cain's sin. It wounded creation, dividing humanity from God's perfect design. This secret reminds us that our choices ripple, affecting not just us, but the world around us, calling us to guard our hearts against envy and anger. Secret 8. The divine rhythm of Jubilees. Jubilees isn't just about stories. It's about time, God's time. Every 7 years, the land rests, a sabbatical year to honor creation. After 7 of these cycles, 49 years, comes the Jubilee, a 50th year of freedom. Slaves are freed, debts forgiven, lands returned to their original families. It's a divine reset, a chance to restore justice and balance. These cycles, written on the heavenly tablets, remind Israel that God owns the land, the time, the people. Ignoring these cycles, Jubilees warns, brings exile and loss. This secret challenges us to see time as sacred, to live with intention, trusting God's rhythm to bring renewal and hope. Secret 9. Enoch and the perfect calendar. The 364-day solar calendar of Jubilees is a masterpiece of order, tied to Enoch, who learned its secrets from angels. With 52 perfect weeks, 4 91-day seasons, and festivals fixed on the same weekdays, it reflects divine harmony. The new year begins on Wednesday, the day God created the sun and stars. Unlike the lunar calendar, which shifts and confuses, this calendar is clear, predictable, a mirror of God's perfection. Jubilees warns that abandoning this calendar disrupts sacred time, inviting chaos. The Qumran community in Ethiopia's church clung to it, preserving its truth. This secret invites us to align our lives with God's order, to find peace in His perfect design. Secret 10. The prophecy of hope. On Mount Sinai, the angel of the presence gave Moses a vision of Israel's future, a warning and a promise. Israel would stray, breaking God's laws, and face exile and the temple's destruction. Dark times would come, with Mastema's influence rising, testing the faithful. But the story doesn't end there. God's mercy would shine through, bringing repentance, restoration, and a new heaven and earth where evil is no more. This secret is a lifeline. It tells us that no matter how far we fall, God's plan is redemption. The Book of Jubilees, hidden for centuries, whispers this truth. God's love is eternal, His plan unbreakable, His hope unending. A legacy of wonder. The Book of Jubilees isn't just a text. It has a call to see the world through God's eyes. Its secrets reveal a universe where every moment is planned, every sin recorded, every prayer heard. It challenges us to live with faith, to trust in a God who holds time, history, and our hearts in His hands. As you reflect on these truths, let them stir your soul. The story isn't over. The Lamb who triumphed, the God who restores, is still writing your chapter. So lift your eyes, hold on to hope, and step into the divine plan that's been true since before the stars.